big time change here, which wasn't one that I was expecting to talk about today, but it was revealed by PW Insider, later confirmed by Dave Meltzer and company, that KAIRI will be re-signing with WWE. KAIRI Sane will be back. She held a press conference this past week to announce that at the end of September, she will be going on hiatus. Okay. So there's a lot to dissect here. She will still be wrestling on the Sendai Girls Big Show in September on the 2nd. She'll be competing in All Japan, teaming with Sayori Inu against Unagi Sayaka and a partner of her choice. And she would like to have her final match in Stardom, but that remains to be seen. So, with all that covered, let's talk about it. Of course, timing is everything. Io Shirai is your new WWE Women's Champion as well. I don't really talk about WWE all that much here, but I feel like that's worth noting. So, Peps, you and me talked about this in the initial reaction moment, right? Yeah. But now that we've been able to kind of just sit back and deal with it, I think you and me are both on the same page on this one. But how are you feeling about KAIRI returning to WWE?
I mean, it came totally out of nowhere for me. But looking into it, and the more tweets came out, the more quotes from post-match promos notes came out, she kind of teased it now for months, and nobody really got it because nobody thought it's a possibility.
Yeah.
Considering her original reasons was stated to be some private reasons, and like she explained it in the press conference that she talked about with her husband about it to move back there and all of that. Like likely will move there. I mean, there's definitely offer, and I can understand why she's doing it because I mean her WWE run wasn't impressive or as impressive as she might have hoped to be, especially her main roster run. And we talked about it. We obviously don't know anything about the contract, but for me, this seems like more. Yeah, she wants to just end it in WWE for like 1 or 2 years, just end it in front of the crowd and just go back.
Yeah. So once I got over like my pouty moment of being upset that KAIRI was leaving, I did think about it. Not only does it make sense on the idea that she's been kind of hinting at it, right? She was no longer a signed Stardom talent since the beginning of this year. And to me, that always just meant, okay, so she's going to work a little bit here, there, and everywhere. And that's what she's been doing. But ultimately, it shouldn't come as a shock that this has been in the works for a while. I'm sure it might have happened earlier had WWE not sold to Endeavor. But of course, with that happening, that has changed certain things. But it shouldn't come too much as a shock that KAIRI, the wrestler who didn't get to finish her run in WWE in front of fans, would want to return to do just that. Her WWE career ended in a warehouse in the PC during 2020, during the COVID era. She pretty much got beat up by Bayley and then disappeared. She went on to work for WWE in Japan, so the relationship has always been great between the two sides. And now that she has a chance to go back and I think finish up the right way, that is exactly what she's going to be doing. And I can't fault that in any sense. I respect her decision. I look forward to watching her again in WWE. But on the other hand, I am upset. And I did wish that we got so much more out of this run in Stardom. And I think that's the main topic point for us now. Of course,
Go ahead. There's a lot of potential wasted. And I mean, just going over it, the entire Utami feud, we didn't get a real Tam Nakano vs. KAIRI match. We
Nope.
never get her against Julia in any singles match. And you can name all of the top girls in Stardom pretty much, and even
Yeah.
outside of it. I mean, it seemed like for a while or like for a bit that they might do something like with KAIRI and Sari, like maybe a singles match or not a tag match and all of that. That totally got dropped now as well because
Yep.
I mean, who knows if she ever comes back or when, of
Right.
course. So there's like a lot of potential matchups that they had, and yeah, just gone now. I mean,
Yeah.
the run is just over, and it feels like to me it just should have started pretty much.
Yeah, the reaction from the Stardom roster, I think, was very telling. Mina Shirakawa, talked about how she thought she would get that singles match eventually, and now she doesn't know. Obviously, Saya Kamatani seemed very frustrated that they couldn't, run back their 30-minute draw that they had last year. There was never a decisive winner. Julia, she said, I thought we had more time, and that felt like a match destined for a main event somewhere, but that doesn't seem to be the case either. And ultimately, there is the conversation. And I don't usually care all that much about this, but unless she has one more match in Stardom and loses, I don't know if anyone benefited necessarily like I would have hoped from facing KAIRI. Um, KAIRI
I
is someone who is such a megastar in terms of just the feel when she shows up. Like the only wrestler that really got a win over her, it wasn't even her, is like Waka Tsukiyama, technically. Which is, if you want to just laugh about that and not think about the Nanai aspect, go ahead. Um, but ultimately, she got to become IWGP Women's Champion, and I still understand the decision, even if I don't agree with it. Um, and then she of course, lost the title to Mercedes Moné, had that Wrestle Kingdom match that I still am upset we're probably not going to run that back now. But there's just a lot of what ifs, I think, more than anything, following this KAIRI run.
Yeah, totally. I mean, I we can have a whole discussion 10, 15 minutes about the booking and all of that. I mean, pretty much it helped the Stardom roster, but in a different way than I expected it. I expected, okay, she's coming there, put someone over, two or three wrestlers over, and they gain star power with it in Japan.
Right.
But her run was more to establish Stardom more internationally and bring international fans in. How it worked out or not, I mean, I can't tell. I don't have insight or anything. But
Yeah.
it's definitely it seems to be more the direction we're going, especially with the IWGP belt. Her
Yeah.
losing or like her losing the title to Mercedes, for example, was like a major moment, and it was something people talked about for months, days, weeks, months, all over Twitter. Of course, it was more because it was the first match of Mercedes, but it was still a big match, and even the Mayu Iwatani match was huge. So she had her impact in her run, but just in a different way than I expected it to be, which is okay.
Mm-hmm.
Um, on the other side, it's just well, now I'm kind of, I would say I'm disappointed with her run. Not saying it was bad because she had great matches. I mean, she went out there and had some of the best matches with I have seen last year with Mayu Iwatani, or
Mm-hmm.
this year with Mercedes Moné, or the tag team match at the reason.
Yep.
So the match quality is good, but just how the run ended just didn't feel like worthy for such a talent who's likely never gonna step foot in a Japan ring anymore, outside for WWE, of course.
Yeah, I'm trying. I've been trying to figure out, like, will she retire in WWE, or will she be willing to come back, do one more match here, and then maybe retire? And I think that's a conversation for another day. Probably more than anything, it depends if she's going there for 1, 2. I'm gonna guess it's a 1 or 2 year deal. I can't imagine her signing for much longer than that. But I'm going to remain hopeful that if she does have a retirement match, it happens somewhere in Japan, because it feels like even if she's this big WWE star, it still would feel right for her to finish up there.
Yeah.
But
And
she
yeah,
did say in her press conference that she would like that Stardom match to be against someone who has been with Stardom since the beginning. So someone like a Mayu Utani, an Utami, an Azume. Someone who has been wrestling
Nana
in
Takahashi.
the Nai Takahashi. I wouldn't even be shocked. Um, which would probably be great. So I don't care.
Yeah.
Uh, I just hope it happens. I think that's where I'm ultimately at now in this run. Is I just hope she gets a match out of it, but not if she's just straight up beating someone. I would like her to give back in some way. If it's a match with Azumi, which would be shocking, it would still be huge for her. I doubt it will be with Mayu, but that would be obviously nice for many
Yeah.
reasons. Um,
My guess was Mio Masaki. Just
yeah, that would.
it's
Mhm.
something they would definitely do.
Yeah,
It's the problem, of course, is the 5-star, and I don't see Stardom giving someone like Mayu Utani another 25-minute match during the 5-star because they have enough to care about.
that's true.
And so I
Would be
could see it being
smart
someone.
not to do that.
Yeah, it could be someone like a rookie or something, or it could
Yeah,
be someone that is not with the company right now and they just do a match outside of Stardom.
that's also possible. I thought about that as well because there are wrestlers obviously who started with Stardom, no longer in it. There are some openings, obviously, throughout this tournament if they wanted to run it at a Corkin or something of the sort. Um, especially with Saya Kamitani being out, that does open up some matches. For example, Hazuki on the 3rd is now opened up because Saya Kamitani's injury, and that was a pay-per-view. So I'm not saying that's likely. I'm just saying there are possibilities there if it were to happen, and I do hope it happens because I feel like
Yeah.
she should wrap her time up in Japan this time around with Stardom and not All Japan Pro Wrestling. But that's besides
And
the point.
and to take away any concerns, no, that's not the start of WWE raiding Stardom and just signing everyone.
Oh,
It's
yeah.
just to mention real quick, it's a totally different thing to sign KAIRI, who already was in Stardom, or
Yeah.
to sign someone from NXT, which WWE doesn't do anymore these days, at
Right.
least.
Right. Yeah. I saw that this week. And I was like, them bringing back someone who worked there isn't that it's not that big of a deal. I think people like to forget that Kyrie worked there, and worked there for a good period of time, mind you. I don't see that happening. Like you said, NXT is a different world now. Unfortunately, the Suri project didn't work out for them just because of that. So I can't see them doing a raid or anything like that. I think that's silly. I think that was a comment that was just it. I think people want to just assume things ahead of time so that they don't get
Just to be
upset.
right, yeah.
Yeah, and it's I don't know about that one. Stardom's doing really good right now, and they're gonna keep doing well. So, and that's the one other thing with the Kyrie move. I have been pretty accustomed to her not being around, so doesn't affect
It's
me
it's
all
it's
too
not
much.
it's not a loss for the product or anything, considering she was pretty much there twice or 3 times
Right?
a
She's
year, pretty much. She had
yeah, she's
10 matches or so in over a year, so
yeah, she's
pretty,
not wrestling a lot. She wants to go back to WWE, so be it. I hope they give her and EO a big match. That's all I'm looking for.